So somebody shared. Oh, we don't, if we're live. I'm not gonna talk about it. Talk about it after. Did you see the reviews of the new Suicide Squad?
I see it trending on Twitter, but no, what are they saying?
It's a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I can't.
Do you want to know who directed it?
Yeah. I know James Gunn, right?
And he wrote it. Basically, everything I've seen on it has given it a 9. Nothing has been below a 9.
How many reviews? How many reviews has it had?
Because it's free on HBO Max.
Okay, sorry. Let me. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Now that it's coming out on there,
But
96%. Let me see.
I think that it might be lower now, but I just saw when I checked yesterday.
I mean, even if it's in
6%.
To me, movies that get a 60% in Rotten Tomatoes, I still watch. Like if I saw that it was 40%, I'll still go and see it. Exactly.
It's just, I don't expect.
So if you're in the 90s,
yeah.
So if you're anywhere
I've
above
80%, 70, I didn't like it. Like
exactly. If you're above a 75%, that to me you're okay. That's a tier. 75% and above.
Yogurt's in. What's up, Yogurt?
Yogurt, what's going on? Suicide Squad 2 reviews.
Why didn't it show up here? Interesting.
Reviews. Wow.
What do you mean RT? Oh, Rotten Tomatoes. He goes, RT is nonsense to me. Like, what does that mean? What's up, D-Rose?
D-Rose.
Rotten Tomatoes. I was thinking
92. Yeah, okay, there's been 230 reviews.
And what's it at? A 92%?
Tomato meter. But the audience score is an 88% with 500 plus reviews. So what is it, 501 or 502, or is it 50,000 verified ratings? But long story short, that's
solid.
Very high. That is very high. All right, where am I at? 5%. All right. I got my charger. I think I brought it over. Let's go.
Why does that hurt your soul, Dan? It's a good movie.
Like, is he talking about?
The Suicide Squad reviews hurt his soul because they're absurd.
Okay, 92% is kind of high for any movie. I mean, you got to be.
Avengers Endgame has like a 96%, 98%.
As it should. All right, let me get this going right. Yeah. All right.
Well, if WB thinks they're on the right path, like they're on the right path because they let James Gunn have total control over it. And James Gunn knows what to do with those characters because he's a huge comic book fan. So he understands, like he understood the material behind it. And if WB can't see that, then I mean, WB should not be trusting what their corporate's saying because their corporate is completely and totally wrong. And I think that's if hopefully they can
because none of the characters matter.
Right, and that is kind of truth. That is kind of the truth. So
it's true. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Suicide Squad. I'm just not. It's rushed. They should have really taken their time to develop each character. like the Avengers. The Avengers obviously didn't do each character, but they did obviously plenty enough, developed their own stories, and then brought them together. We barely know any. We barely know any of these characters. Folks who
but
obviously
Guardians of
don't
the Galaxy
read
was good right away.
Let's say folks who don't read comics. True.
That's a James Gunn movie, right? So James Gunn can.
Hold on. That's a way better cast by far.
Than Idris Elba and.
Yes. We're talking
John Cena.
Come on, man. We're talking Chris Pratt. We're talking Zoe Zhao. I always forget her last name. Come on. We're talking, although he's not the greatest actor, he's like a John Cena in the sense, but Batista, that role is perfect for him. That's just different. That's a different class of actors and actresses. Yeah, Will Smith is obviously an anomaly in the first one. Margot Robbie as well too, but I think the Guardians of the Galaxy just has the right characters playing the right characters. Excuse me, the right actors and actresses playing the right characters.
Yeah. Dan, I agree with you. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I was not very high on. I like the first one way better. But there's a lot of people that think that Volume 2 is one of the best Marvel movies made. I don't understand it personally, but
first one's way better.
That's what I think too. But I'm talking like, there is a lot of people who are big Marvel fans that think that Volume 2 is one of the best Marvel movies. Like above Winter Soldier, above like they put it above. They don't put it above Endgame, but they put it above Winter Soldier, which I agree with Dan. Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie. Like that was the Marvel movie that took it to another tier for me. That was the first one that took it up into like, you know, Batman Begins territory for me. So I love Winter Soldier. But
yeah, I'm trying to think of
Endgame is amazing. Like Endgame is like at the top because of what it hit. But Black Panther's up there. People put,
of course,
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 above Black Panther.
No. No.
I'm serious. People are, and they're like serious.
Gosh, no. It's
they're like
good.
Serious around the Marvel content.
It's really good. I'm not saying it's not. Volume 2 is really good. I think the first one's way better. But Black Panther just
I like Killmonger.
That writing. That writing is wonderful.
Villain. Yeah, that was like the first villain that like you were like, I kind of hope he wins.
Yeah, he had mixed emotions. They purposely did that, of course. And
absolutely.
I think that's a brilliant way that's actually the best way, in my opinion, to make a villain.
It's a Shakespearean tale.
It is. It is. Indeed it is.
All right, should we get started? We just went 10 minutes about Suicide Squad and Marvel.
Right.
This is going to be a good episode. All right. What's up, sports fans? Thanks for tuning into some Untapped Keg Sports. I'm RJ Zimmerman, here with my good friend, Monte Ball, who's got all the facts, all the takes today. How you doing, big fella?
Good, I'm doing well. I can't share them all. You know what I mean? I can't share all of the Peyton Manning, Adam Gase feud at times. And it's just competitive, but we'll get into that. But I'm doing well, man. All is well. How you doing?
Bucks and 6, baby.
Okay, Bucks the whole time.
Bango. Okay, bango.
Pre-show, I'm like, okay, what is this sweatshirt? I'm like, is it Freddy Krueger or is it the Mighty Ducks? Or
I wish it was the Mighty Ducks. That'll be next.
Yeah, so Bucks and 6, of course. We haven't had the opportunity to actually speak about it on our sports show, but
Giannis, greatest basketball player of all time or greatest human of all time? Would you put Gandhi 1, Giannis 2, or would you put Giannis 1, Lincoln 2?
Lincoln's still questionable.
I agree. There is some questionable motivations around some of this. That is true. As we get into, we don't need to get deep into it.
But yes, he is obviously a phenomenal human being, that being Giannis. basketball player as well. He did exactly what any single person, sports fan, basketball coach, former coach, water boy, water girl, etc. Every single person invested in the game of basketball. That's exactly what you expect for your star player to do in a game like that. You can't write it. Michael Jordan, of course, okay. But that is.
I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying it's just a Cinderella story. It literally is for him.
The fact that he almost tore his knee completely apart,
right?
A week before the finals started,
right?
And has
that's a Cinderella
performance,
story.
Like
it literally is a story. It's magnificent. Go down 0-2, come back to Milwaukee, win. Obviously, then
that first one was close too. It was a close. Yeah. That first one was a close game.
Yeah, it was a very fun series to watch, but then to watch Giannis's performance throughout the entire series, that man, rest of the players as well too, but he gave it his all, literally. And let's be honest, he's most definitely not 100% coming back off that knee injury. Well, no player's 100%, so he was probably only about 70%, just pushing through.
I think Giannis passed Neil Armstrong for most impressive feats a man can make. And I'm excited. I'm here for it.
It's really neat to watch. You know how it was really neat to watch how they played as a team. Because on paper the Bucks are not a flashy team at all, not even close to being a flashy team. So it's really cool to see. As a basketball fan, it's really awesome to see a team come together like that and play actually some team basketball.
Hey, their flashiest player is their seventh man in Bobby Portis. That's a man who made some money in those finals. The Bucks re-signed him. It's awesome for him to come back.
They did.
The Bucks are making moves. They're not just gonna sit by and rest on their laurels with these this one championship. They're not gonna wait another 50 years. It's exciting. It's exciting that they're being aggressive in free agency too. But that the Giannis performance throughout the entire series was like classic. Like it's what people who were skeptical of Giannis and how good he could be, this is what they were asking for. And people kind of had to step back and be like, okay, all right, I see it. I like
that's a good point right there, actually.
And for the culmination of the 50-point game to seal it. And he had so many baskets that were the Suns are making a comeback and Giannis has a huge play. Whether it's making his free throws, whether it's that dunk with around three people, like with three people like right around him. And Middleton never stopped shooting. You had the comment that you got to shoot yourself out of a funk, and Middleton didn't play great really the entire series. I can't even think of one game where
I think the first game,
really good game.
I think it might have been the first game in Phoenix, or I think it was game 3, their first game here.
Yeah.
I think he put up, I think it was 41, I believe. I can't remember correctly.
Oh, you're right. It was game 3. Game 3.
I think it was 40. I think it was 41.
Yeah. And they needed that to win that game.
Right. They did. So yeah. I think it was the perfect yin yang in a sense. No, not yin yang. They just really go together. But I wanted to kind of dive a little bit more into what you stated about Giannis's 50 points, obviously, to seal the entire series. I think for me, if you go back, you guys, and listen to our previous, episodes about sports, when we were talking about the Bucks, the previous series when they were playing not the Hawks, the Nets. Many times I was questioning Giannis, not questioning as if he's a good player, because obviously we know he's a good player, but to be dominant in this year, in this playoffs. Yes. And so I was saying this whenever they were playing the Nets, because remember we were talking and I was like, he gets really nervous. You can see that frantic when he gets the ball, he just puts his head down and it's a charge every single time. I was like, he really needs to get in his bag. He really needs to pull out some different moves, create some space, instead of just that get frantic and just take off. That's what you see young players do. So I think the 50 points that he put up, obviously not only solidified the playoffs, solidified who the best team is in the NBA. It also, for me personally, showed or told me that, okay, this guy can be dominant for many, many more years to come. Many, many more years to come.
Oh yeah,
putting the team on his back like that. Sorry, I did this whole wraparound thing on there, but it not only just showed us who the best team is in the league at this year, it also showed us that Giannis is going to carry that torch. That's what it did for me, because he answered the bell. Everyone looked at you and said, "You have to do it," and he did it.
And there was honestly not really a single player in that Game 6, the closeout game, that had a good offensive game. Like, it was Giannis, and then everybody else contributed, obviously. Like, Middleton hit some big shots in the fourth quarter, having a really poor shooting night. But, like, it just felt like when a huge bucket was needed, it was Giannis that answered it. And it was, I mean, him, what'd he do? 17 for 18 on free throws? Like,
that's what I'm talking about. Just clutch on everything. You not only improved as a leader and your 15 footers, that being jump shots, not just the free throw 15 feet. You also improved your free throw shots as well. Not just improved. You were literally perfect. You missed one shot, one free throw. I don't think he shot that well at the free throw line all postseason.
No. Not all season. The thing about it is that it's just confusing with him too, is there were, years where he shot 85% free throw. And then it's just like the past 2 years, for some reason,
he grew. He grew.
And that'll do it. Little things like that'll take you off your game just a little bit. But D Rose asks, where does Giannis rank among all-time power forwards? I mean, we need some longevity here before we kind of put him up in that upper echelon. He's moving up, though. He's moving up. I mean, power forward is like the deepest.
There's some dang good power forward.
You're talking all time. Every single position when you're talking all time, there's some amazing talent. But he's got to be up there. You could make an argument for Giannis right now if you retire.
Top 10,
Hall of Fame.
Top 10.
I'm not saying best all time. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm saying, but you can make an argument like you could probably make an argument he's in the top 5, but I don't know if he's there.
No.
I think you can make an argument.
That's top 10, but the top 9 ahead of him are really great. But that's a good one, D Rose. I really actually like that one. Before we start throwing out names, let's do some research on that. I actually like that, and we'll bring something back for you next episode.
Number one all time is Tim
that.
Duncan, right? You agree with that? Tim Duncan is the best power forward of all time.
Yeah, and I think that's without a debate. I actually just saw something 4 or 5 days ago that actually had him listed as the number one.
Yeah, we're on the same page then, because that's what I would say for my.
Well, they have that Spurs team listed as one of the greatest offenses statistically, I think. Still, I believe. Yeah.
So,
but go ahead.
We'll come back to that, because that is a really.
That's good. That's really good.
How far up the list did he just put himself? Because, well, I mean, yeah, and the thing is now too with how the NBA is, like when Tim Duncan was power forward, he played the 4 position. He played the power forward position. He could play a 5, but he was a power forward. The NBA now.
That's what I was just about to say.
Is Giannis really a power forward?
This is a great point.
Where do you put LeBron? I mean, do you put LeBron at small forward?
Because the center position is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
No.
Your last classic center was probably
Shaq?
Dwight Howard.
Or
Dwight Howard in his prime was probably your last classic center on a really good team. Because he took the Magic to the finals one year.
Exactly. I can't disagree with that. I'm trying to think. But yeah, the players now are so just interchangeable. They're just some freak athletes. They can play 4 and a 5 and a 3. I mean, I mean, Magic, of course, is a great example, but that's obviously not modern.
And he's always listed as point guard because that's what he played, point guard. So,
but that guy was playing all over. I mean,
he's 6'8" point guard.
And he was bringing the ball down the court, but he was playing 4 or 5. He was just put me in, coach.
Oh yeah. So yeah, really good. Really, really good question. I like it. So
I like that one.
We'll come back to that one next show.
Yeah.
All right, Bucks and 6, baby. They're gonna run it back.
That's impressive. No, because
they're gonna run it.
They're
back.
not. But no. Here's the thing. I want them to. But even if they don't, even if they lose, right? Because they can meet up with the Lakers
in the finals.
In the finals, yeah. Even if they do lose, I'm still against the Lakers. I'm not counting it. I'm not counting the Lakers' victory. So I can't.
With what,
RJ? I can't.
Trading for Russell Westbrook,
dude.
Melo.
Okay, so for so many years, I got so sick and tired of hearing people talk about you can't count LeBron's rings because he stacks his teams, and I'm like, well, what do you mean stacks his team? Blah 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 blah. How many? That entire team is stacked. I mean, Melo, Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis.
Do you remember the last Kobe Shaq team?
Oh yeah, the famous Kobe dumping it, the alley-oop to Shaq in the slam.
They brought in Karl Malone. They brought in Gary Payton. They brought in. That's what this reminds me of. This is
so ridiculous.
I think their entire starting 5 is in the Hall of Fame.
That's ridiculous. In the end, this doesn't obviously negate all that LeBron has done. He's obviously a Hall of Famer. He's obviously a phenomenal athlete, player, etc., role model. But my goodness, how as a player, as someone who I don't even know how you legitimize the victory if they do win. it like wholeheartedly, I couldn't say Of course, you're the better team. It's like
if they run like run away with it, run away with the West, run away with the NBA title, I could see this being why you would have a salary cap. I could see this bringing about a salary cap, but at the same time, it's hard on the NBA because people could take less money to join a team. There's so few players that they could. And then
Tom Brady.
Melo and Westbrook, they got one more run in them, just about, right? Westbrook's got more than one, but all that's left is Chris Paul joining them. I mean,
I don't. Did you see there were so many jokes? So you see the news about Lionel Messi leaving Barcelona, correct?
Yeah.
Someone had Lionel in a Lakers jersey. Saying Lakers heard that Lionel's. I was like, wait, what? It's like, what? That was just too much at once. Because that news, obviously, Lionel decided to depart.
There's
Barcelona.
a lot of free agency news that is just unreal right now.
There's a lot of movement going on.
Josh Allen signing his $200 million contract.
$150 million guaranteed. I think it was. Yeah, I was like, whoa.
He's worked his butt off to get where he is.
Well, he has. Obviously, Carson Wentz, that injury that's a Colts. That's Colts, right?
Yeah. So speaking of
Colts, that's a hit to the Colts. Oh,
speaking of football and taking hits, when we were talking football starting back in March, and everybody was making a big deal about this situation that was going on in football. And my response was just sitting here like, I'll believe it when he has a different uniform.
Oh.
And I've said that all off season. So how about that Adam Schefter taking those hits? Aaron Rodgers back with the Packers. And then how about the Packers organization taking some hits?
Where to begin, man? First off, Adam Schefter, whoever, should not be allowed to report any news or belief of any news to even report on Aaron Rodgers.
Honestly, he can leave the state of Wisconsin out of his mouth.
He was completely striking out. I'm talking completely just whiffing, just completely. He wasn't even close. I mean, I'm just actually appalled by how just much he stirred up.
And it was, it wasn't just
like a wildfire.
That was stirring it up. It was the entire national sports media that was stirring up anything they could. Like, I remember there was this one report, and it was, oh man, Aaron Rodgers passed up on his Wheaties and went for Frosted Flakes today. That must mean he's going to the Denver Broncos. There must be something close.
Oh my
Frosted
goodness.
Flakes. But that's how it was. It's like everybody's talking about, oh, he hasn't gotten a haircut. Oh, he's in Hawaii. You know what that means? You know what's close to Hawaii? You know what? There's a flight out of San Diego that's really cheap to Hawaii. He's probably going to the Chargers because they used to play in San Diego. Like, that's what it felt like. And
you're right.
It's ridiculous what was going on this entire summer.
The dog and pony show for sure. That's the definition of a dog and pony show.
A great
example.
I just want to say, at work, I had a guy believing for 2 weeks that the Packers traded Aaron Rodgers to the Falcons for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in a first.
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick. Serious question.
Okay.
So you said for 2 weeks. Does this guy go home and like Patrick and literally climb under a rock and sleep?
He has 4 kids. He has 4 kids, so that'll tell you.
We're talking for 2 weeks, the biggest name in football.
Yep.
He believed something that outrageous.
He doesn't follow sports like as
you don't have to follow it to type in Google. And
he was like, so I haven't seen this yet. Is it real? And I'm like, yes, it's real. It seriously happened. And I kept a straight face the whole time. And then I finally had to tell him that he's like, well, how's Julio Jones traded to the Titans if the Packers traded for him? He really said that. And I was like, I don't know. There must have been a failed physical or something. Oh my goodness. It was good. He
clearly goes. Really so he reads the newspaper still.
No. So yeah, well, he's old school, but 4 kids. I
respect it.
4 kids. He's reading, tales about Little Red Riding Hood and stuff like that. He's not really.
They should tell those stories the dark way.
They do. It's called the
all of like Chris and
the Brothers Grimm,
Hans Christensen, all of those stories. Those what would you call that? It's like Nordic tales, kind of like Beowulf.
Oh yeah, like
all that jazz.
Nordic myths,
right? But anyways, way off topic. Yeah, I believe that was the most outrageous, but also great illustration of a dog and pony show. From that first report from Adam Schefter about Aaron Rodgers till last week.
So
when he reported,
there was a report and it came out last week, 2 weeks ago. My last 3 weeks have all blurred together because we had leading up to vacation, we had vacation, and then I had an 80-hour week. So there was a report at some point that the Packers offered the Chargers Aaron Rodgers for Justin Herbert, and it was turned down. And it was during the season last year.
Say that again. The Packers offered. So the Packers wanted Herbert
for Justin Herbert, and the Chargers turned it down.
Chargers, of course they did. Why would they do that?
Well, if it's real, we don't even know what's real right now because of how everything has been reported.
Okay, let's hypothetically.
And I heard that, and I'm like,
I don't know
if I would be upset with that deal either, right?
Not as a Packers fan. No, that's great. That's brilliant. That's the best transition that you can go. That's what they're hoping Jordan Love steps in and does exactly what Herbert's been doing. Well, did give him that year. Was it 2 years?
1 year. 1 year.
That was just 1 year, yeah. Just as a rookie, yeah.
But that's odd that you would trade up for Jordan Love and then you offer Aaron Rodgers for Justin Herbert. Kind of
right
pass
now.
Sure.
Now, as the Chargers, if hypothetically speaking, they would be some dang fools to take that deal.
Right. Because they're more than a quarterback away.
Yeah, touche. And you invested into Herbert. Herbert knows the system. Herbert's first year balled out. Rookie of the year, I think, correct? Offensive rookie of the year or something like that? I believe.
Probably. I mean, I think he had an amazing year. So there were some really good rookies, though. Did Justin Jefferson win or did Herbert?
Jefferson balled out too. Let me see. Offensive ROY. NFL. Oh, that's defensive, obviously. Chase Young.
Yeah, Chase Young ran away with that one. So
right.
I don't even know what to believe come this Aaron Rodgers talk. Yeah. Like how bad it was in the offseason. It was Herbert.
Yep.
And deservedly so. There were like 4 players you could have given it to on the offensive side, and I don't think anybody would have like been upset about it.
No. Now, the whole getting bamboozled. Well, you didn't. I was on the fence, but yeah.
You thought he was going to Denver. You thought locked and loaded.
Well, of course. I'm biased. I'm biased.
You wanted it to happen. They are quarterback away. We're
quarterback away. We're quarterback away. We have the defense.
You're a Ryan Fitzpatrick quarterback away. You're not even an Aaron Rodgers quarterback away. So,
dude, we might be fine with Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see.
You might be. He's perfectly fine. So, thanks, Huncho, for the compliment. We appreciate it. They like your background.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, Huncho.
So now we get to the press conference. Aaron Rodgers comes back to training camp. Everybody's reporting it. They're reporting on the T-shirt he's wearing. They're reporting when he got off the plane that he hasn't had a haircut in like 4 months, that he's got an attitude of like, dude's been doing yoga for like 3 years. And, he's a certified shaman in 17 countries. So the media is just like doing all this crazy stuff. Walks up to the stand and has one of the greatest press conferences I've ever heard, and spoke from his heart. He didn't
pull out receipts.
I honestly don't believe that he said anything that was completely out of turn, but he didn't hold back. Like, I don't think he necessarily threw anybody specifically under the bus.
No,
but he did not hold his feelings back, and I was not turned off of it as a fan. These players are people. There's feelings behind it. It's something that we lose from a baseball side because we're so deep into analytics, NBA side because we're so deep into analytics, starting to get there in football because of analytics. Like, we see them as helmets. We don't see them as people. They're just helmets out there running around, right? And you should be making these plays. But there is something to be said for a locker room and how moves can affect the locker room. Moves can affect how you feel as a player. And, I think there were a lot of things that Rodgers said in this press conference that went for 35 minutes. What stuck out to me, what stuck out to a lot of people that talk to me on a regular basis, was that Aaron was a little upset, not more than a little upset. He was turned off by how the Packers have moved on from some of their veteran players.
Right.
Lowballing, making no offers, and not showing respect that he feels they've earned with their performance with the team, and not just on the field, but locker room presence, meeting room presence, teaching young guys the business of football. Not allowing Aaron to help recruit free agents.
That's
the one that stuck out to me, where I was like, you have one of the greatest tools that you could have to get free agents to come. And Rodgers has solidified himself as like he could help you recruit defensive players too, not just offensive players.
Yeah.
Anybody he could help you recruit, and you're not going to use it. Like,
which is why he said
amazing resource that is just being wasted.
True. Which is why he's said Green Bay's not a great vacation spot. He said people come here to play with me. Which he's right. Oh, sorry, no. Please continue. I just wanted to throw that in there, just on top of what you said.
It's true.
That's what he said.
I was just going to say that, that led to your tweet about Peyton when you heard that.
Yeah. It did. I immediately felt as if I had to share something. I didn't think it would spread the way that it has to where CBS Sports picks it up. But
CBS Sports picked it up?
Yeah, I didn't show you.
I can't remember.
They posted it.
That's awesome.
And that's I just felt that I had to say something because fortunate enough to play those 2 years with Peyton. Congrats, by the way, Peyton. I feel as if I should just say that. Congrats on the jacket. That's awesome. Peyton's probably not going to see this, but that's pretty cool. But here's the thing: you have, just like you stated, you have Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in that position, to ever play the game of football.
Mm-hmm.
Playing for you, still playing at a high level. Won the MVP 3 times. Yes.
Yep.
And you were not, at least, you're not even gaining his feedback, asking for his feedback, or just talking to him throughout the free agency process, throughout the draft process. Not even saying that you have to take his word. Oh, no. Like, as GM, you're not going to ask Aaron Rodgers, hey, should we draft him or should we draft him? No, that's your job. But as a GM, I would be like, hey, Aaron, you see these 2 players right here. Which one do you believe would be a better asset to our offense? Not necessarily asking him as if, like, I want you to pick. Just check out what they're both really good at doing. Which one do you think that would work the best in our scheme? Not saying you have to go with his decision, but again, just asking his opinion. I don't even understand why they're not even asking for his opinion.
Or, hey, we think that this player would fit in really well. Could you shoot him a text and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And maybe getting a discount because you have Aaron Rodgers saying, hey, what do you think about coming and playing with me? You might get a discount, but you're not using that. It's unbelievable. So, I feel like you hear these stories of the Patriots and how they use Tom Brady as a recruiter. And Rodgers said it's not about doing exactly what I say. That's not what he wants. He doesn't want the end say.
Exactly.
He just wants his opinion to be appreciated.
How does he not have a chair at the table? And that's the thing is, this is all perfect timing because remember, RJ, after I had the opportunity of meeting Aaron Rodgers and was at that Wisconsin award show, and I told you what he said to me. It was in February when we met, and it was in 2013, and he said, after we talked and we were saying, bye, he said, we'll see you in April. And, you can, maybe it's a little bit ambiguous. It just means, hey, see you in April because, you're going to be drafted somewhere. Or did he mean, hey, we're going to see you in Green Bay in April? Biased, of course. I took it as he wanted me to play for the Packers. And I think if he did have the chair at the table as he should, I probably would have been a Packer. But now, to share what I want to share about Mr. Peyton Manning, the tweet that I sent out. So obviously, once that news came about, I immediately thought of my time with Peyton, another Hall of Famer, another person who has done enough work, X, Y, and Z, what have you, to have a chair at the table when it comes to building an offense.
Famously,
go ahead.
Calls his own plays, audible, draws everything up on the fly.
Yes.
Famously.
Yes. And so an example that I have, the first one that I want to share with folks, because this is one that many people will know. So 2013, September 5th, 2013, my rookie year, we played the Baltimore Ravens in Denver. Night game. Peyton Manning balls out, throws for 7 touchdowns in that single game. That entire game, right? And again, RJ already just stated it. This is my first time in a game with Peyton Manning, but obviously prior to that training camp, I got to see how he moves, how he literally owns the offense. Let me share the first example for you before I get to the game one. First example. So at the time, Adam Gase, we called him Goose. Goose was 34, I believe, at the time, and Peyton Manning was 36, 37, I believe. Yes. So already off the bat, that was a little weird. You got an offensive coordinator who's 3 years younger than your starting quarterback. So leading up to the game, in the meeting rooms, Peyton was, I don't want to say snappy, because again, I'm not here to shed any negative light on any of them. It's just heated moments. It's a competitive sport. It just happens. But long story short, Peyton wanted things to go a certain way for a game plan against the Ravens. The offensive coordinator wanted it to go his way. In practice, obviously, by them not resolving it, we saw this all unfold in heated ways. That being Peyton screaming at Adam Gase, that being Goose just saying like, hey, no, I'm going to do this. This is how I want it to be done. And then Goose coming right back at him saying, well, no, this is my job. This is what I get paid for. I'm the offensive coordinator. This is how we're going to call it. This is happening on the sideline during practice. So we all kind of just like step away to our position coaches and kind of just like, okay, them two just going at it. That happened for the week leading up to the game. Thought it was resolved. It wasn't resolved yet. But we end up obviously balling out, beating the Ravens. But throughout the game, the entire time, same thing is happening over on the sidelines. We got Peyton wanting to do one thing. The offensive coordinator wanted to do another. Peyton telling him, this is my offense. This is how we're going to do it. Offensive coordinator throwing down the iPad, just not liking it at all. Them really just getting after it. But long story short, fourth quarter, 4 minutes left to go in the game. Peyton's already thrown 6 touchdowns, so he's already been like kind of rubbing it in Goose's face, like, this is my offense, this is how we're going to do it. But he didn't really vocally say it yet. Like, this is why we do it my way. He calls a screen, right? So the offensive coordinator calls a play. Peyton ignores it. I hear it in the headset. It is not the play that the offensive coordinator called. Peyton, just like shakes it off, gets up to the line of scrimmage, doesn't call a play, right? I think we were supposed to huddle up. We don't huddle up. He tells us just to get to the line of scrimmage. We get to the line of scrimmage. He checks out the defense. Offensive coordinator obviously is trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Head coach on the sideline too is like, what's happening? They shouldn't be at the line of scrimmage this soon. Peyton checks out the defense, looks, obviously sees the coverage, calls a screen to Demaryius Thomas, throws the screen to Demaryius Thomas because he saw a blitz coming. Knew the blitz was coming. They tried to disguise it, couldn't trick him. Switches it, calls screen, throws it to Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas takes it for 60 yards. Peyton scores his then 7th passing touchdown of the game. And as Demaryius Thomas is running up the field with the football, Peyton's looking over at the offensive coordinator screaming, this is why this is my effing offense. This is why this is my effing offense. My effing offense. And just kept jogging down as DT scored the touchdown. Yeah. So
cold-blooded.
Yeah. And again, I didn't want that to get too drawn out, but I had to give you everything right there leading up to the Baltimore Ravens game in Denver, September 5th, 2013. And again, these stories aren't to say Peyton was treating Goose poorly or Goose was treating Peyton poorly. This is just an example, which I'm going to be sharing way more on in our episodes, but this is just an example of how sometimes you have to, as a GM, step back and let the players who have played the game at a high level for years and years and have been the best at their position for years and years and decades, or at least a decade, you should just sit back and let them do their thing. At some point, you got to just put your ego.
Yes, you have to take your hubris that you have, because that's what this is, right? The GM wants a lot of credit that he deserves. He's put a roster together that is the most talented roster they've had since their Super Bowl team. Like, he's hit on Jair Alexander. He hit on.
You guys are you guys are a play away every year from making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, he does deserve some credit, but at the same time, Aaron Rodgers is making plays and balling out that he hasn't made for years. Like, that is Aaron.
Right.
And he's taking receivers besides Devonta Adams, taking receivers that wouldn't make other teams and making them relevant.
True.
And, one story that has been told by Mercedes Lewis, similarly, Mike McCarthy in his last year calls a play at Dallas, and Rodgers is like, in the huddle goes, no, that's not going to work. Draws a play up Sandlot style in the grass and is like, this is what we're going to run. And it goes for 20 yards. Like,
that's the
a
thing.
first down. And the play that Jared Cook in the playoffs where Rodgers has that pitch perfect pass, Jared Cook has that pitch perfect catch to set up the game winning field goal when the Dallas Cowboys were the number 1 seed and the Packers upset them. That was Rodgers drawing that up in the grass the same way. They all said it. That was not a play call. That was not a play they ever ran before. Rodgers drew it up and then they executed it. Like,
that's what I'm talking about. You gotta, at some point, the literal X's and O's can only take you so far.
Yep.
Meaning the player who's playing the game, that in-game experience, the history of playing in so many games, that experience, plus obviously as you are playing the actual game day of in the game, you're learning more and more about the team as well, live, in real time. So he knew, okay, hey, no, this safety is moving a certain way. They're not moving like we thought that they would be moving. So that play's not going to work. It would work on paper pregame, but based on how he's been moving, based on how the tackle has been moving, DB has been covering, he's been giving the inside, away a little bit too much. He hasn't done that in the previous games. So that play is not going to work. This one's going to work. That's why you need players like that to give their input on who's going to be the pieces to their puzzle. You don't think Phil Jackson asked Michael Jordan? Well, obviously he wasn't picking the players in the draft, but you don't think the president, the GM, or whomever, they weren't asking MJ, hey, how do you think he's going to fit in?
No, they weren't. Famously, they were not asking MJ. Jerry Krause. Like, you watch The Last Dance.
See, I have. That
is a very famous thing that they weren't asking Michael, and that's part of the reason Michael hated the GM and management. So
see, I didn't watch Last Dance.
That's what this kind of feels like a little bit. So Rodgers has been called. They've said that Rodgers will sometimes refer to Gutekunst, the Packers GM, as Jerry Krause.
Yeah.
So, and that's where Jerry Krause felt that he put the players together that won it. And MJ's like, no, you're winning it because of me and Scotty and Dennis. And okay. So
bad example, but I'll LeBron James then. Obviously, more recent times.
Oh yeah.
Like as in like this past week and a half.
Pat Riley always, when he was in Miami, Riley always ran it by LeBron. What do you think of this player? What do you need? What can I go out?
Well, they should. Get? So exactly, these examples are just exactly what we've been talking about. I don't understand why they're not. How do you not ask someone like Aaron Rodgers, who everyone knows who this man is, everyone knows what he's done. He's got the tape. He's got the history. How do you not ask him, hey, how do you see this player fitting in our offense?
How are you not asking Aaron Rodgers to meet with your next head coach or possible head coaches? Like, how are you not doing that?
JJ Watt got the head coach fired in Houston, and he was defensive side of the ball.
And, when the Bucks hired Budenholzer, they had Chris Middleton and Giannis go to dinner with him first to see if it was going to work. Right?
Yeah.
Like, but you just don't have Aaron's input. What would you like in a coach? Do you think a defensive-minded coach is what you need? Or do you think that an offensive-minded coach is? Don't get me wrong. Matt first worked out really well. And him and Aaron Rodgers have a really good relationship. Now, the first year was contentious. Rodgers didn't have a great first year. But then they figured it out together, and you could tell that they adore one another, to be honest. Like, you could tell that Aaron Rodgers is not mad at the coaches, is not, like, he wants to be there for the coaches and his teammates. That's
what the GM.
You can see it when you're out there. And it's not just the GM. I think it's also the president.
It's got to be the president, too.
One thing
because there's no owner.
People have asked me my thoughts on away from this is Rodgers talked about specific players that have moved on that meant something to the franchise. Yeah. You know, you have Charles Woodson, Jordy Nelson, John Kuhn, Brett Goody, who they meant something to that locker room. They weren't great players.
Especially Kuhn.
Julius Peppers.
Well, they all did, but Kuhn had the
Casey Hayward, Micah Hyde. Yep. So when you move on from these players, you're not celebrating what they did. You're kind of cold-heartedly moving on.
Right.
And when you look at it from a football standpoint, it's besides Casey Hayward and Micah Hyde, which when you look at it from just a straight personnel standpoint, you could say they made a mistake. But if you look at how they were both injury prone when they left the Packers, and then they haven't really been injured since. So what does that tell you about the Packers medical? But anyway,
it's really
besides that, they haven't had great seasons since they left.
Okay.
But Rodgers isn't saying it's that they left. It's that how they're leaving. Like, you're not sending them off with fanfare. You're not saying we appreciate everything that they've done for this franchise. Clay Matthews being one of them.
Yeah, what was that DB? They balled out that next year after they got rid of him, like the
Casey
upcoming
Hayward.
season. No.
Micah Hyde.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna bother me.
How long ago?
Recent 3 years.
Because Micah Hyde made a Pro Bowl the year after he left the Packers, and Casey Hayward led the NFL in interceptions the year after.
And it might have been then it was Hayward. You're right, because I remember we had that conversation. There it is. Yeah, because it was the Chargers. Yeah, because you said we just got rid of him and he balled out. That's right. That's right. Corner.
But he was hurt with the Packers all the time. That's why they didn't pursue him. But you have like Julius Peppers, who wanted to come back to the Packers on a team-friendly deal, and the Packers completely and totally just were like veterans minimum, and that's it. We're like cold-hearted about it, and that's a known story.
Okay, well, how much is Mercedes Lewis getting paid? Because he's old.
Right. And he is important to the offense. So
he's very, very slow.
But he's blocking. They ask him to block Khalil Mack, and he does it. He's very important for the run game.
That's true.
And he does exactly what you ask for. You don't ask him to run 50 yards. You ask him to run 10 yards, turn around, and catch the ball. That's what he does. Yeah. And he blocks Khalil Mack.
I guess true. I guess my point is this: Julius Peppers.
I don't think letting Julius Peppers go didn't cost you a Super Bowl, didn't cost you a chance at it. Letting Clay Matthews go didn't cost you a Super Bowl or a chance at it. But you can let these players go.
I would have kept Peppers before Matthews.
I think, right? Like when Reggie White left the Packers, there was a lot of bad blood, and Reggie White's family still holds the Packers.
Rest in peace, right, man?
Yeah, and they have a little bit of hostility towards the Packers on how they let Reggie White go, because Reggie wanted to play a couple more years. He didn't want a full salary, like a star salary, but the Packers were, no, we're not interested.
I mean, that's the thing. You're right. You're saying it correctly. There's just a way about. Obviously, players understand when you get to a certain age. You understand. Okay, my prime. I'm outside of my prime. Every player knows that. So meaning when you're going to be released or when you're on the chopping block, etc. But there's still an appropriate fashion, an appropriate way to go about releasing a vet. Like, I'm sure the Colts. No, I can't remember. I can't before I even say anything, because I can't remember how Peyton's relationship was with the Colts after they released him.
It was amicable. It was an amicable split, because the Colts had the number one pick. There's no way you're passing on Andrew Luck.
No,
You
you're
can't
not.
have Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning on the same field. So the Colts are like, we're going to cut. They held a press conference and they
True.
thanked Peyton for what he did for the city
That's true.
and the franchise.
For some reason, I could not just remember that, but
yeah,
you gotta. There's an appropriate way. I mean, you don't need a whole press conference, of course, for the
Not
players
for
that you mentioned, right? But
like Jordy Nelson,
yeah.
When he was let go, it was basically they completely lowballed him. They gave him an offer that there was no way anybody he would accept.
Right.
He may have had decent numbers with that team, but he went on and didn't do much with the next team.
The Raiders, right?
Yeah.
He went to the Raiders.
Yeah. But it's not like, and he brought up Jordy Nelson and James Jones, how they left. And it's the same thing. And I don't know if it's just like a callousness with how management talks to the players when they're releasing them, or because we're not privy to any of those conversations.
Right.
Obviously, when Randall Cobb left, Cobb was a little devastated. And Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb are really, really good friends. Rodgers was in Cobb's wedding. One of the stipulations for Rodgers coming back was that they trade for Randall Cobb, which I can't believe the Packers got such a good deal out of that they did. I feel like Texans knew that the Packers had to trade for Randall Cobb in this, and I still feel like the Packers did really well in that trade. So
the Texans had the upper hand, but just folded, literally.
I mean, they traded a 6th-round pick, and they got Randall Cobb, and the Texans are covering $3 million of Cobb's salary. I would say that's well worth it. I don't think you bring Randall Cobb in to have him play these meaningful snaps. I think you bring him in to help mentor the receiver room. Like, you just drafted the next Randall Cobb and Amari Rodgers. I don't think Randall Cobb is going to be your number 2 wide receiver, like a lot of people are saying.
Who do they have returning? Who's probably returning for the Packers right now?
It'll probably end up being Amari Rodgers.
Amari Rodgers, okay.
The rookie that they drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Obviously, Cobb can do that, but yeah, he's not going to be in every down. He's not going to be. They're not going to try to wear and tear his older body now, or even more.
He might have third and long plays, like he'll be in there because he's going to run the right route and be there in sure hands.
And you have to do that.
His last year with the Packers, he does not have the speed he once did. He's still got some quickness, don't get me wrong. But he's not going to be down the seam 30 yards wide open.
No. You got to, just like you said, you still have to put him in the game just to keep the defense honest. You just have to. That's what they would do. I wouldn't obviously all the time use him as a decoy because he's older. He's not that much of a threat as he used to be, but still put him in to shake up the defense a little bit, make them at least just have to look in his direction. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that frees up some of the younger cats.
And I mean, if you look how Donald Driver, that was really the last graceful exit of a player that the Packers have had, like an important franchise player. They kept him past his last year. He did nothing. He didn't even really see the field. I don't know if people remember that. Donald Driver's last year was like
Super Bowl 2010, right?
Fell off. I can't even remember.
2010. I think it was 2010. I think it might have been 2010 season. You guys beat the Steelers.
They still got him some catches. He still was on the field, but he was like the 5th receiver. It was like he was on the cusp of not even making the team, but they ran it back. I can guarantee in the locker room, he was a great presence. He was probably in the meetings, kind of helping the young players, how you watch tape. That's something Devontae Adams said, that Randall Cobb helped him watch tape, figure it out. And that's what you bring at Randall Cobb in, is to help these young receivers watch tape, get better, do the little things, because that's an important part of football that we don't talk about. It's not all about Sundays. It's not all about practice. It's about the meeting and preparation and how to be a professional.
Absolutely. That's actually a great take, because football is the number 1 sport when it comes to meeting time. Over top of any other sport is football. When you just take the actual sport during their training camp days, And obviously during the season, the hours football meets the most, which makes sense because you can't expect for us to be in our gear for 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. But also on that point, Champ Bailey is a great example. My rookie year, Champ Bailey, defensive back. He started, of course, but he had a very average season. Very average season. Yeah. But they brought him back or kept him for that last year of his contract, whichever way, when I can't remember, because that's exactly what he was doing. I mean, I was there. I saw him meeting with the younger DBs and teaching them how to watch tape, teaching them how to flip their hips, etc., how to hold and not get the calls. So that's a great that's a really good point. Champ is one.
You could have had Charles Woodson helping.
Or that, Woodson. Right? Yeah. Woodson is a really great one as well with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Or when the Raiders took him.
And he had productive seasons with the Raiders. He played 3 more years and he had a lot of production, but he wasn't a corner anymore. He was a safety. And that's what you needed in those years. You needed a safety that like him. Right. That's where the friction is. If you didn't hear that press conference,
too.
I loved it. I loved that press conference. I thought it was amazing. I'm hearing all these answers. He's not mincing words, but he's not saying things crass. You know, he's not being very rude. There are a few times he held his words back. He almost, one of these things is he went with he loved the org and then fans.
He said,
that fans. Little audible there. And there's something to be said for that. And I think what he would have meant had he said the organization, it would have been everybody around the organization, like the coaches, like the assistants, like everybody in the office that he sees daily.
It's an emotional. It's going to be an emotional year.
Yeah, and it seems obviously like him. Maybe upper management got a little bit of humble pie because what they have been talking about has been, they've been saying things a lot differently than they were earlier in the offseason. You can't just move on from a Hall of Fame quarterback and hope that you have another Hall of Famer. Steve Young,
not yet.
Joe MVP. Montana, like you had Andrew Luck after Peyton Manning. Like Andrew Luck, I would say worked out.
He did. He was just on his back a lot.
Aaron Rodgers
hit left and right.
Aaron Rodgers after Brett Favre. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. More than likely, you're going to be the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions, the Jets, the Broncos. You're going to be searching for that quarterback for a long time.
Take Peyton out the equation. What, you go back to Jake the Snake?
Yeah.
What do you Jake Plummer? It's like, what? Gosh.
It doesn't happen. Wow. So when you think you can move on from Aaron Rodgers and win, you're full of it. You're full of yourself. Yeah. You are completely full of yourself. That is not realistic. So I don't know where that comes from that you think you can do that.
Right.
Good luck to you as a fan. Let's win another one. How about that? How about we win another one? I mean, we pull a Bucks and we win.
Right.
Right.
I mean, look at the Patriots. They moved on and got a good quarterback, and still just obviously the fluidity is not the same. Obviously, Brady was in the system. That being obviously Cam Newton taking his position, and just you can't. It'll take a year on average, sometimes 2.
And you hope Jordan Love plays well. I like everything Jordan Love says. I like that Jordan Love's in the organization.
Yeah.
Goody though, man. You got to come with a little bit of humbleness here.
They will. And we'll see. This is the opportunity for Rodgers to, again, back-to-back MVP years. your guys' division is still trash. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins is choosing the unvaccinated route and has already missed, I think, 4 practices. The Bears are the Bears, and the Lions are the Lions. So you guys,
they're selling T-shirts online, calling this the Aaron Rodgers FU Tour, and it's got the schedule for this year. That's what it feels like, and it feels like Adams is with them. One last ride, baby, and we'll see what it goes with, because Adams was ready to sign a deal to make him the richest wide receiver, the highest paid wide receiver. He was going to sign that deal, and then this drama unfolded, and I think part of the drama, seeing how they're treating Aaron Rodgers, led him to be like, well, maybe I don't want to spend my career here. Maybe I want to try a different organization that might respect me a little bit more when it comes down to it.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is if they're not respecting Aaron Rodgers enough, Devontae Adams,
I mean, look, they moved on from Greg Jennings, who was their most productive wide receiver since Sterling Sharp, and now it's Devontae Adams. There was a lot of bad blood between Greg Jennings and the Packers.
How did Starks' departure go?
James Starks?
Yeah. I can't remember if was that a...
He just moved on in free agency, I believe. Maybe they cut him. I think he moved on in free agency.
Because I think he was doing really, really good.
He was a Jekyll and Hyde. He'd be all right for one game, and then he'd have like 4 not good games. But he had that one run. They would not have won the Super Bowl without him, and that was the run that he had to have. So,
but to tie that up, yeah, I do not understand what the Packers are doing, but I do hope it's an Aaron Rodgers FU tour, because hopefully for the future quarterbacks that are going to go through the Packers organization, they see a new and improved organization as opposed to what Rodgers is familiar with. So hopefully they do change their ways.
You should go back to Favre, with this too, that he always wanted a weapon and the Packers would never get him one.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Is literally somebody sitting back saying, okay, we can't be too good on offense.
Well, and that's the thing is, you think the offense is taken care of because you have a Favre and you have a Rodgers, so let's make that defense better so that you're all around good. But it just doesn't work that way. You need to take some pressure off of your stars sometimes.
They just aren't aggressive enough. The Packers aren't in free agency, and even in the draft, in my opinion.
There's a reason they've always been they've been a bridesmaid for so long.
Yeah.
There's a reason you have 2 Super Bowls with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as your quarterbacks, and that is inexcusable.
I mean,
the mediocrity they have been okay with as an organization is spelled out in that press conference that Aaron Rodgers gave. And if you can look at that and you get mad at Aaron Rodgers, then you're okay with being in second place. And if you're okay with being in second place, that's fine. You'll have a fine life. You'll be successful. But you're not going to be a champion. And if you're not playing to win, if you're okay with losing, sports are not for you.
Right, exactly. And I think, just real quick, I think the Broncos need to get rid of. I think they need to go ahead and get rid of Von Miller, free up cap space, and get a quarterback. Yeah. Chubb has been there long enough.
I was kind of hoping, honestly, that Rodgers would get traded to the Broncos and the Packers would get either Bradley Chubb and one of the young receivers and a first-round pick. I thought that would be a hell of a haul. That's what I was hoping if Rodgers was just done and was moving on. And that's something that Rodgers said in the press conference too. Like, it's not that he wanted to leave the organization. It was that you aren't letting me have a say. You already are acting like I'm out after this year. So why are we prolonging the inevitable? Just cut me now. Just move on. Because you don't want me here. And if you don't want me here, then I don't want to be here. And
Right.
everybody has felt that in their job. Everybody has felt that in their workplace.
100%. If you are forcing me out,
yeah,
don't say, hey, yeah, we want you to leave, but we want you to leave in 16 weeks. Like, no, I'll just leave now. I mean, if you guys want me to leave now, then let me go. But no, we're not going to let you go yet. Or I completely understand what he's saying. But my take on the Broncos, just real quick, it's going to be an interesting season, but get rid of Von Miller, free up the cap space, get a quarterback for next year. For next year.
Well, I mean, you got Teddy Bridgewater now, so you got your quarterback for like 5 years.
No. There's absolutely no way.
There's Drew Lock still. I know you're high on him. I've heard your interview with the Denver media. You are all in on Lock.
I was then, but
down on Lock.
I'm not. I'm not sold on Lock, and I'm not sold on Bridgewater. I'm not. That's a really, really good division. There's some really good football going on in there. Obviously, from the Chiefs and the Raiders. The Raiders still seem to be a decent football team. Chargers are always just a couple injuries away from being a dominant team. No, not dominant, a good team. But we got to make some changes, and I think you give up Von Miller, you free up cap space because Chubb can do it. Shelby Harris as well is really good D lineman in the front. Obviously, our DBs are actually really, really good. Really good.
We'll see.
But anyways,
they're no Packers DBs, but they're
but they're really good this year. But get rid of Vaughn, free up cap space, and I don't mean get rid of as in a negative way. No, you do the press conference and thank him.
You move on
and get a quarterback. John Elway, whoever it is now. I forgot his name. Gary Payton. Yep, that's what needs to happen.
Isn't it George?
Yeah, George Payton. That's what needs to happen. I mean, Vaughn this is his 11th year. Last year he was injured, of course, IR'd, but it's time. It's time. It's time. It's 11 seasons.
11 good seasons.
11. True. But it's time
to the defensive end position. So
right. Let Chubb just handle it. And let's get us a quarterback. Yeah.
Well, my last words are going to be congratulations, Chuck. You deserve it. One of my favorite players to watch wear the Packers uniform and play. I'll never forget that play he made where he broke his collarbone, stayed in the Super Bowl. Yeah, good on you. You deserve it. And thank you for helping bring a championship home. So, well, let's close it up by saying Sunday, join us for our sobriety podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, Untapped Keg. We've been really bad about this. We need to talk about it. Subscribe on iTunes, on Spotify, your favorite podcast service. Leave us a rating. Let us know if there's something that you'd like to do or you'd like to see us integrate. Give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. It helps people find the show. Find us on Twitter. You can shoot us a question at any time and we'll answer it. We'll try to answer it on the specific podcast you want it to be on.
Indeed.
But our sobriety podcast on Sundays, check it out. 9 a.m. Central Time on Sunday morning. And this was a good show. This was as good as I thought it was going to be. So next time we'll have to go a little bit deeper into Peyton and Goose, but
I got more stories.
Tease. That was a tease.
And I'll save the really good one, which was the Super Bowl loss against Seattle for a couple more episodes down the road. That explosion. Yeah. I even got into a heated argument with Peyton. And I think that's when my clock started. But anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, we exchanged a few cuss words at each other. It was, yeah. But anyways, this was good. You guys take care of yourselves. You guys stay safe, stay smart, and continue to socially distance. Yeah, socially distant yourself, socially distance, what have you. But have a good week.
Later.